Illumo is a video lecture series brought together by a collaboration among SIBM Pune's student councils, namely the alumni team, iSmart, and RSD team, to help the students bridge the gap between textbook learning and industry realities. For our inaugural session, we have with us Mr. Arijit Chakrabarti, Associate Vice President at groupM and an SIBM Pune alumnus from the batch of 2001. Mr. Chakrabarti, a certified data science enthusiast, currently heads the creative functions nationally for the out of home and cinema practice. He's an industry stalwart with over 19 years of experience across multiple sales and marketing functions in leading organizations like Madison's Outdoor Media Solutions, Bennett Coleman and Co. Limited, Tata Docomo, and Greenlam Industries. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure here as well.
So, sir, I hope you're doing well today.
Yeah, all good. All good. Thank you.
So, sir, with your permission, we'd like to begin with the interview.
Yeah, please.
So, sir, analytics is a very niche and technical oriented skill. And you have been part of the MBA batch. So, what were the factors that drove you towards this field? Like, what caught your interest?
So, I'll tell you, from the very beginning itself, and it might sound very cliched, yes, I was always interested in data and how kind of data helps us make better business decisions. So, as you mentioned aptly, I started my career, in fact, it was a campus placement where I got placed with the Times of India. And there I worked in the corporate strategy team, reporting into the vice chairman, Mr. Samir Jain, at the time. And then, so there also our whole structure of working, and I was the only, effectively the only non-IIM in the group. Otherwise, they specifically had a focus that they would select students only from IMA, and very, very specific. So all the other team members that were there at that time were all IIM people. So it was very interesting. And one of the things, which when I finished my MBA, my PGDSE that I had done, was that, IIM people have a chip on their shoulders and, they have that elitist attitude. And honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised. That was completely untrue. They were, in fact, if not more open to work than even us. They would roll their sleeves up, get down and dirty, get that work done. And, that's something I really appreciated. And that's something that as a learning, immediately coming out of MBA was something that I really appreciated, the entire cohort that I was with. And it was from that time on that data always interested me. And like I mentioned, data, especially from the perspective of allowing us to make better business decisions. So one of the things that we used to do, as an example in corporate strategy, was we had this huge quota. So that started after my time. That started coming in a CD, and now it's completely online. So that used to be the complete analytics of all the business divisions that Times of India Group had. So a lot of times, one of our key requirements is just to pour over that book, identify what are the anomalies, what are the changes, what are the trends taking place, actually update VC about it, update other team members about it, identify projects, for example, as to how we can make it better. In fact, one of the things which I did when I was part of that team was that I got in touch with the then world's largest newspaper, which pretty soon Times of India kind of overtook, was USA Today. So I actually wrote to USA Today because, okay, so the idea behind it is that USA Today at that time basically had a main paper, and at every single location, they kind of had regional papers whom they would typically take over. That was the strategy and the function they function. I mean, those days were, about that full-scale page and reading newspapers, which currently doesn't exist much anymore. But anyway, so the idea was that they, if I remember correctly, had over 100 different divisions. And the financial controls that they used to manage all these different newspapers was very exciting. In fact, we had a discussion with VC, and he said that this is something that's really great. And Arijit, I think you should take this up and figure out how do they manage it. So actually, I wrote to the then finance head there, and he replied back. And this was on traditional mail. Yeah, emails were there. But though that was on traditional mail, he wrote back to me. He in fact sent me a whole set of his financial controls. He had blanked out those, redacted those lines which contained data of the company, but he at least gave us the headers. And we completely re-overhauled that product that we had, despite me being from a completely non-financial background. And the fun of it, that data is agnostic of your skill. Yes, I agree that domain knowledge, domain experience is critical, but as long as you are able to have a pulse on the numbers, you can do magic, and it does not matter which background, etc., that you come from. So this is just one example that I gave, and then then moving on, I remember then from there I shifted over to Radio Mirchi. I was there at that time. I was doing frontline sales. Even then, I kind of recognized the importance of being able to discuss data with a client, even when you're doing sales. So, what has been your past activity? What do we believe, will help enhance your brand better by being present on radio? So, those conversations I always found had a lot more takers than coming and saying, okay, let's do a plan. Let's do an outdoor plan. You'd sent me a mail. So this is the outdoor plan, what it's going to look like. Those were very dry conversations. But the moment you laced them with data, suddenly, the person sitting at the other end became more interested. And he actually felt, one of the motto of Times of India, I remember that, I would not ask for your business until and unless I was able to improve it for you. So to be able to get that benchmark, that to me means a benchmark, that to me means numbers. So I need to know how you were performing in the past. And therefore, by doing this particular campaign or this particular project, this is how you can move the ball from here to here. So there is, so in my work, I always felt, this data was a very critical component for any business decision that's taken, be it as simple as sales also, which is typically more relationship driven, right? It's more about sitting, conversing, getting that person on your side, and then getting that conversation through. So that was one. So even in Radio Mirchi, I found that data helped me, and then I transitioned on to out of home, and that's something that I've been largely through, except for some small stints that I've done outside, where I worked with OH Media. And in OH Media, once again, our conversation was a lot based on data because it was a new medium. I don't know whether you guys are aware of it. So that was basically, we set up digital screens at various TG aggregation points, like in malls, in offices, hospitals, etc. So once again, very data-led conversations. But this is the sort of audience you're able to reach out to. These are the number of spots that you would take. Once again, even after the campaign would finish, we actually did a tie-up with IMRB. So for every single campaign that was done, we would provide research analytics on it. We would tell them that, ye aapne campaign kiya, this is what you've done. This was how many people you're able to reach out to. This is the sort of, numbers, the type of audiences that you were able to achieve based on the campaign that you had done. And we used to do it irrespective for every single campaign, right? So once again, data played a critical role. It helped, cement my understanding of research even further. Right? Studying research is one thing, and implementing it live has a whole different set of challenges. So my stint with OH Media, from the perspective of data and science, helped me in terms of cementing my capabilities with research. Then I moved to the Madison out of home, Madison Media, and there I headed up the Tata Docomo account. So I was the brand custodian for it. And there I learned something very interesting, that with the Japanese, who basically Entity Docomo, which was the entity with which the tie-up took place. So Entity Docomo people, especially they were very clear that they would literally work on Excel. They did not understand PowerPoint. They did not understand Word documents. They wanted everything in Excel. Even if you have a PowerPoint presentation, please bring it in Excel, would be the conversation that we would have. This was a very interesting transition that I could see, that, how can we quantify even a communication which we would typically consider to be something that is qualitative. That gave me that understanding and further cemented, my belief in Excel. That Excel is, one of the most critical Microsoft components that we would ever use. And, it also helped me build up my understanding of Excel. There are a lot of different functions, a lot of different hidden, abilities and capabilities that it has, which we normally are not aware of. But as we, get into that groove, get into that understanding, things kind of start making more sense. There also, in the second half of my stint, I was responsible for doing pitches. And, traditionally in out-of-home pitches mainly meant that you would show out-of-home sites. So I remember a very active member of mine called Kamal. He still works with OH Media, with Madison. In fact, he used to work with me in OH Media. And, I kind of said, why don't you come on board and we work together on this? So, at a time when outdoor pitch presentations would only contain photographs of sites, right, of outdoor hoardings or billboards, as you would call it, we moved to presentations which did not contain a single site photograph. In fact, this was a remark which was made to me during one of my pitch presentations, that it's so refreshing to see an outdoor pitch presentation without a single site photograph. Why? Because we played on data. We looked at data, what activity has the client undertaken? What is sort of media that they have done? What is the competition doing? How can we, build a better SOV calculation for them? The entire story, which typically started off in regular presentations from other agencies with, ye wala site, this site is what we should take. This is a beautiful site on this road. We'll take it long term, and we'll that's your job's done. We'll take these 2 other sites beside it. This is how Mumbai is. So on this stretch we'll take 4 sites. On this stretch, these are the 4 sites we'll take. We completely transitioned the conversation on its head. And I believe at that time we did, I think, close to 23 crores worth of new business. It was a phenomenal, game changer. We in fact retained business also. There were conversations where, the client said, "Kuch naya nahi aa raha hai. This is something we've been doing. I mean, what is the differentiator between you and another agency?" This kind of helped cement our strengths very strongly. And we did a lot of business at that time. I mean, I became like literally a traveling salesman between Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Kolkata. So, every week, literally, I'd been one place or the other. And because of the conversation that we were able to engage with the client, and that made the difference. So data by itself is no fun. Data with the story, is what people are willing to listen to, and what helps make sense of the entire conversation that you're having, right? So this was about my story as far as, till Madison Media was concerned. From there, I transitioned over to one could say, a pure product stint, where I was the product head for Greenlam Laminates. I did that for almost a year and a little over a year, yeah. And there, it was I was from the sales side of the business. So naturally, once again, numbers and, being able to translate those numbers into what I initially started my conversation with, taking better business decisions. So, we had SAP implemented. We would take data from it. In fact, we did something known as Project OM, Project 1 Million, which we called it. And we kind of, so there are various products in laminates. One of them is your white suede finish. So that's a product which is like the commoditized version of it. We kind of, our initial, market share was around 4 or 6%. It's largely, controlled by unbranded players, especially from the Gujarat area. And we kind of transitioned that 6% to over 14%. Once again, on the back of data, on the back of being able to energize the entire sales team by leveraging the story through data. And we kind of were able to push it. There was sales support in terms of, we had some sales promotions running. We were able to nudge that needle right from a 6% to over double, the percentage market share that we had. So once again, justifying to me and my career that, data plays a very crucial role. Data is the new oil. From then on, from there, I transitioned to DDB Mudra. And DDB Mudra was also a very interesting thing where I was the integrations manager for North and East. So I was responsible for taking all the different, media opportunities that we had, like, for example, TV, print, radio, digital, and stitch it together for the complete picture for a pitch presentation. So that is something I used to work on. We once again, I think since 7, 8 new clients we brought on board. Lots of, because DDB kind of focuses on new business. New business is a very critical aspect of the way in which they function, and this kind of helped drive that conversation with them. And this has just moved on to further and further strength. Like even in groupM, I head up 2 functions. I head up strategy as well as creative. In fact, initially I used to head up strategy alone. So strategy, once again, based purely on numbers, based purely on, and it comes with the baggage that out of home traditionally is seen as not having numbers. It's seen as a medium which is more bought on gut, more bought on intuition rather than hard facts. So I'm proud to say that as an organization, I believe we've transitioned that entire movement, and this transition now we're seeing rippling across multiple other agencies as well, where data is at the forefront, and we're able to leverage the existing data sets, create new ones, and actually talk a similar conversation as we would have, say, on digital, on print, on TV. Having similar high-level conversations, instead of it being key, this is a good side, why don't you take it? So that's kind of what we do. And one of the best parts was where our MD Ajay, he also kind of understood that it was very critical to amalgamate the left brain and the right brain function. So amalgamating together the creative and the strategy was something that I always felt was very crucial to ensuring that they both functioned at its maximum capability. So currently we've done that as a system, and it works extremely. It's working extremely well, and it's putting the conversations across to the right clients at the right time.
Well, thank you for that answer, sir. I think data is the new fuel is something that all students of MBA have heard, but having it elucidated and explained so precisely is something that I think will add value to everybody. Thank you for your views, and I believe it's been really enlightening for everybody who will be watching this. So we've come to the end for this interview, and it's been a great pleasure and an honor to host you. We would have loved to host you on campus, but for now we're doing this virtually. Maybe sometime later we'll have you on a lovely Hilltop on campus. So for now, sir, thank you for informing us, the students, as well as the viewers, about the poetry hidden in the depths of data, that about the possibilities that even people who are not from a technical background can actually take up analytics. They just need to have the drive and the passion for it. Thank you, sir. Your alma mater will always be there for you and always welcome you to our lovely Hilltop campus. Thank you. And I hope you've had a pleasant experience.
Thank you. Cheers.